Okay. Hello, Spoon. And hello, everybody else. We are on episode 55 of the OverLimit podcast. And today we've got probably not as much news as last week, but I think a good amount from what we've put on our good old doc. And we've got some time. We're going to talk about Total War. And then we're going to talk about Spoon's Pokemon impressions. So that's the general plan for this episode. So let's do introductions and then we can, go from there. The introductions for today involve, once again, talking about our YouTube. Please be sure to check out our YouTube, support it as best you can, watch the videos, like the videos, comment on them if you feel like something maybe you wanted to discuss in there or disagree with us. Actually, our news podcast from last week did quite well by comparison to our other content previously, so that was a good sign. Hopefully we can kind of trend in that direction, but we'll see, and we appreciate people who stop by and check that out. But yeah, just be sure to keep supporting us, come by the streams, hang out, say hi, maybe jump in on the discussion that we're having about game news. We like to bounce, things off of other people. And Spoon, anything else to add to that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Then let me go ahead and turn off the Destiny music now. The wonderful Deep Stone Lullaby is the actual track name, but it's from the Deep Stone Crypt raid for Destiny 2. And I put that on there because we're going to talk about Bungie. So let's start with Bungie, since we've gone there, and we'll go through the other news that we have involving Nintendo, Battlefield, and Ubisoft, and FF7R. So let's jump in first on the Bungie news. And the Bungie news is Sony bought Bungie for $3.6 billion, I believe was the reported number.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be clear, the only game Bungie is currently out right now that is they are still working on is Destiny 2. It's like the only game that's currently out by Bungie that they're still working on is Destiny. The other games that Bungie made were Destiny 1. They made the previous Halo series, which is kind of where Bungie took off, was Halo. So Bungie was first with Microsoft, then broke away from Microsoft and went to Activision, then broke off from Activision and is now bought by Sony. What a ride. What a ride.
They weren't ever they weren't owned by Activision though. Activision was just publishing for them, right?
No, they weren't owned by Activision, but they had the partnership, publishing deal.
Publishing deal, yeah.
Right. So they were never owned by, Activision didn't own Bungie, but they had this publishing deal in place. And then they broke away from the publishing deal, and now they're being purchased by Sony for $3.6 billion, which it's a hefty sum for a game company, particularly one that's currently just has one game out, which is Destiny. All their other games are either, in the past, or they don't really have like a massive portfolio of games currently that are out like right now, that
Destiny's
are relatively new.
Big though.
Yeah, Destiny's quite big. Destiny will always top out those Steam charts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every time you look at Steam charts, Destiny's up there in the top 10. It's always up there. Particularly when an expansion hits, like Destiny's concurrent players on expansion hits are extremely high. And it's the newest expansion coming out for Destiny has like already 1 million pre-orders, which is a hefty number for an expansion. Yeah. So this is a popular game, and the price tag, you can maybe debate it, I guess, but Sony went in on somebody, and this is obviously not a response to the Activision thing, but I think I can speculate and say that it was a response to the Bethesda deal. That after the
Yep.
Bethesda deal, Sony was like, okay, we're gonna go get somebody, and then this happened, and then the time frame lines up, kind of. It kind of lines up.
Yeah.
So, Spoon, I know you don't play Destiny, but you used to a little bit.
Yeah, I played. I mean, I played the first one and played the second one a little bit, but I never got super into it where I was grinding endgame or
Sure,
anything like that. I've never done any of the raids in either Destiny game, so
but you've played.
I've
Bungie's a
played
high
Destiny.
profile
Yeah.
developer at this point.
Oh,
Development studio. Um, they're high profile. So, what are your thoughts on the acquisition?
I mean, I think I think it's a good one by Sony. Bungie has a pretty good reputation in general for making pretty quality games. I guess I know, well, Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 even at the start of both of those games, had its issues, but they've I think they've fixed most of the issues and generally people like the game. Um and yeah, they always make really good shooting mechanics
Yeah.
basically, they Halo was the cream of the crop back in the day when it came out. Halo 1, 2, and 3 on Xbox and Xbox 360 were pretty much the peak of the shooter market at that time. That was before Call of Duty got really big.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah. That was before then. Yeah.
yeah, I think Halo 3 came out even before Modern Warfare 1 came out, that's when Call of Duty got really big. So,
Yeah, it was close. Like the
um,
release timing was really
I think they
close.
were
But yeah.
pretty close, but I think Halo it was out first from
Yeah.
what I remember. I could be
That
wrong about that,
that
but
that could line up. I mean, Halo 3 came out senior year of high school for me. Modern Warfare, we were playing it in college freshman year from what I remember. So the time
Modern
frame kind of lines up.
yeah, Modern Warfare 1. Yeah, Modern Warfare 1 came out senior year of high school.
Yeah. It lines up.
Came out in 2007.
Oh,
Yeah,
2007. Yep, that's right. So it's a roughly similar release date, I think. Because
yeah,
that seems like when Halo 3 was out, like in the same year. Timing is similar. Um, but yeah, I mean, Bungie's really good at making shooter games.
yes
Their
they are.
their gun mechanics are really good.
Yeah,
Um, I think that they've got, there are people that dive really heavily into Destiny's lore. I don't, but Try dives into that lore. There's like tons of lore in the game that people dive into. Not Destiny 1 necessarily, but Destiny 2's lore is actually like a little bit better packaged into the game as opposed to Destiny 1 where you had to like go all these other places to try and get it. Um so they like, and Bungie, even Halo had a lot of story around it. So Bungie does a pretty good job also with building a universe.
yeah,
Their
yeah. And
universes are expansive.
I'm gonna assume that Sony is not gonna have Bungie pull Destiny off of Xbox and off of PC and have it PlayStation exclusive. I think that would be a really poor decision on their part. I think that would piss people off big time.
Of course it would.
Uh,
I mean, but Microsoft may pull Call of Duty on off PlayStation at some point. Like when that contract goes up for multi-platform support, like
Maybe.
Microsoft might pull the plug, and that would be like an equivalent kind of decision. Um, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know if Sony's
but
really concerned about that. Maybe like they agree, Bungie, like with the purchase, they had to agree with Bungie. Though I don't know how much control Bungie actually has in that, in saying, look, we got to keep this multi-platform. Like we can't be exclusive to PlayStation. We have to keep this multi-platform because that's where
yeah,
the value
but
is.
who knows where they're gonna go in the future with, maybe, if they're gonna do a Destiny 3 or some other game, maybe they're gonna have Bungie develop some new first party game for Sony that's a the PlayStation exclusive. Maybe PlayStation will get certain like content early, like they'll get the expansions like the DLC for Destiny early, or they'll get
Yep.
exclusive, some sort of exclusive content with like expansions and whatever
Sure.
that you can only get on PlayStation. So
Which
they'll probably get that kind of stuff.
that would also make people very angry as well. So it's like I'm not sure what Sony's gonna do. Like we don't know what Sony's gonna do, but I think a realistic situation is Sony tells Bungie, okay, we'll give you money and we're gonna buy we'll acquire you, we'll pump some money into you, make another game, and we can make that a PlayStation exclusive or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, like locking Destiny content behind certain consoles, in particular PlayStation, seems like a really poor decision. Um, so I hope it's not that.
Yeah.
That seems
Yeah,
like a
that probably
really the
that wouldn't go over well either.
the PC Destiny crowd is large,
Yeah.
so that group would be extremely unhappy. Obviously, the Xbox group would be unhappy, but like the PC group is a really big group, as you can see by Steam charts. It's a big group,
Mhm.
so you're locking out a massive group from this content that just frankly shouldn't be locked out of. Like even expansion or release, that'd be a big deal because when you put it into the context of a raid, let's say The Witch King came out a week early for PlayStation players. That means PlayStation players have a week early to farm gear.
Yep.
And that means that they're better prepared for the day one raid. That would piss everybody off. That
Yep.
would be like mass protest kind of situation. So you can't do that. And I think Bungie's well aware you can't do that because you're gonna make people angry with that. But like exclusive like skins, okay, that's fine. Like who
Yes, yeah,
cares?
like I was thinking more cosmetic on the
Right.
cosmetic side, but
That
we'll see
stuff
what
like
they
who
do.
cares? Like whatever. Like I'm sure somebody would be angry with that, but like realistically that's better than like, oh, you get 2 days early on the expansion. Like even 2 days can be a big deal to people who are trying to do day one raid. Like you can't do that. That's a big no-no. Um for that kind of thing. Like it's just like I feel like everybody would be like, no, don't do that. It devalues the day one raid if you do that. Um so I don't know. For me, like it's a good purchase. Bungie's a good developer. Their games are good. Destiny 1 and 2 had the live service issue where the first like 6 months to a year of it were
Kind
not
of rough.
particularly good. But after a few expansions and content drops, it improved significantly, which I think is just the fundamental problem with live service games. But it seems like people like say, "Oh, we're gonna make a live service game and not have all the content that needs to be there
Yeah.
day one. We're gonna
It's
wait
just
like
like
6 months for it."
it's just lacking day one. And I guess some games are able to recover from it. Destiny is one of them
Yeah,
that,
for sure.
you know, wasn't great when it came out, either one or two, and they added some content and
Hmm.
people love it now. So,
Yeah,
some live service games have been able to recover from a rough launch, though. I would say Destiny didn't necessarily have a rough launch in the fact
no,
that like the game always worked and was always fun to play. It was just a
correct.
little lacking in content
Right,
when it came out, especially end game content.
right,
But people are always like, okay, this game is fun. It's not really buggy or anything
right.
like that. The mechanics are there. It just needs more content. And once they added more content, people were on board.
Yeah,
In contrast to something like Battlefield 2042, or Battlefield 5 last time, where the game is just kind of buggy and crap on release and doesn't have a lot of content, and
right.
then people are like, okay, this sucks, and
Yeah. The, the foundation of Destiny was there. That's the best. That's the best thing. Like in contrast to a Marvel's Avengers, the foundation of that game was just not there at all. It was just like it just was really rocky. But Destiny's foundation is there. It just needed
yeah,
more content to support the foundation, which is what it desperately needed. Um, and it got relatively quickly. I mean, like really 6 months getting like a significant DLC or something is that's like
yeah,
relatively
that's not
soon.
too bad. That's
Yeah,
not
it's
too
not
bad.
too bad. Like 3 to 6 months of getting a DLC is relatively good. So, um, and Destiny's DLCs have I don't know, like obviously not every DLC is gonna hit, but like they've had some really good ones that people are like, okay, this is
Hmm.
like a really good DLC. So, okay, any other thoughts on Bungie being bought by Sony?
I mean, I think as we said, it's a good pickup for Sony. We'll see if they It's possible they have a couple others in the works right now that we haven't heard about. Because yeah, these deals usually they're gonna take months to finalize something like this, a big purchase. So
Yeah, it's
we'll
gonna take a
see.
bit. It's gonna take a bit, but that's a big one. We'll see who the next big one is. Like they're really like, I don't know. I saw a couple of tweets saying there might be another one. There might be more before the end of the year, which seems crazy to think about. It's like, okay, well, who else is going to be doing stuff? But while Microsoft and Sony start to really, you know, bundle together their like these big publishers slash developer studios and really add value to their portfolio, Nintendo's busy taking down and copyright claiming people on YouTube.
Hmm.
um, a an extremely popular video game music channel on YouTube got 1,300 copyright claims from Nintendo
And then like another 2,000 the next day or
and got
something
another
like that.
2,000 next day. And that's the follow up tweet I have here. Received another 2,200 blocks today. And the person, just to go down the tweets, the summarized version of it is like, after some thought, it's just not worth keeping it up anymore and trying to fight this. I'm gonna delete the YouTube. And thank you for supporting me for 11 plus years. And the responses from people are just like, okay, so Nintendo, like, there's no alternate solution if you take down all of your music to be able to digest that content. There's no
Yep.
solution to that. So basically, your music, if you take down all your music from YouTube, where are we supposed to get it? Is the problem. Is like, where do we get it? Like, I know where I can get Mass Effect music. I can go to like YouTube and go to Mass Effect music, and it's there. And EA is not taking that down. Nobody's taking that down. But Nintendo is consistently taking down YouTube content in particular, and I actually just don't get why. And the only thing I can understand why is if they have a solution of their own and they're going to make you pay for it. That's why
Yeah,
you would take down the
that's
free option.
that's the only thing that would make any sense to me is
Mm-hmm.
if they have something in the works that they're gonna have some sort of subscription service where you can listen to Nintendo music or something like that. I don't know.
Which would be
That's
awful.
the only thing that would make sense
Right.
because there is almost all Nintendo music there. You can't get them on any of the music apps.
Right.
Spotify,
Yep.
Apple, Amazon Music. They're not there. There's a few exceptions like Xenoblade. Xenoblade Music's actually up on like Amazon Music and stuff, but that I'm not. It may be a situation where the composers like own the music or something, so they can do what they want with it. It's not necessarily Nintendo.
Yeah.
Um, but even in the cases with a lot of companies where they do have their music up for sale on these subscription service apps, they don't take them down from YouTube. They just let it be, and they let people listen to it
Because it
because
promotes your game.
it's free, it promotes
Promotes
the
your
game, it
game.
promotes the music. If someone, listens to the music on YouTube and really likes it, maybe they probably have a higher chance of going and purchasing the soundtrack,
Yeah.
right?
Really.
Like,
I,
um,
it's like the music promotes your game. Like if your game has a really excellent, OST, I can almost guarantee the probability of a not person who hasn't purchased it listening to that music, there's going to be a better chance they're going to want to pick it up or find the purchasable soundtrack, particularly if the soundtrack has additional there's additional stuff with it. Like I just like I never understand this from Nintendo. They're like,
I
no,
mean, yeah,
you
this
can't put our content up here. It's like,
they
okay,
they they did this with like those like emulator sites like
yep,
N64 emulators and stuff like that before the Nintendo Online came up with the Super Nintendo and
right,
the so that's my thought is they're prepping for their music to go up for sale somewhere, whether it be
right,
a subscription service or they're gonna put it up on the on like Apple and Spotify, for purchase on there, or they're gonna do their own thing with it. Who knows? But my guess is it's gonna go up for sale somewhere, probably in the next 6 months or so.
yeah,
Um,
that would line up. with
That's the only way.
history.
If they just did this to do this to because they're Nintendo and they're anti-consumer and they hate you, then well, okay.
Like it makes sense. Like they went after emulators specifically because they wanted to have their own emulator. Um, be
Which they do a worse job
They do a much worse job. Oh
emulating
my god.
than yeah.
It's like
Anyways,
if you're gonna do that, do a better job. Like really, like if you're gonna be like that, you better do a really good job. If you're gonna forcibly take down other people's work like that, which they have the right to do that. But if you're
yeah.
gonna
I
do
mean that.
that, give a better solution. And they gave a shittier one.
Yeah.
Ugh. I just they,
Yeah, you can't really say they did like anything. Like they're fully within their rights to do this.
they
Obviously,
are,
they own the music.
of
It,
course.
but the question that most people absolutely get is just like, why?
There's
Like,
no.
why would
It's a
you
waste
do
of
this?
time. It's a waste of
Yeah,
time and resources from Nintendo. It's just it makes no sense. Like other companies, like I really want to stress this. Microsoft and Sony are making all these moves specifically to increase their portfolios. Microsoft's doing it because they want to sell Game Pass to you and make that even more lucrative than before. Sony's doing their version because they want their, they don't have a Game Pass right now really, but they want people to digest their stuff on a PlayStation. Like they're specifically trying to sell their console, okay? Nintendo doesn't really do this. They don't really do these kinds of things. They have their own reliable first party offerings, and that's pretty much just carried them the entire time. And the other, like, only other good thing that Nintendo really does is they're definitely innovative in their systems. Like they try things.
yep.
Not always, doesn't always work, but like the
That
Wii was a
they don't
really
always
like
work.
innovative idea, and the Switch is a really innovative idea
They
for a
they
console.
usually have some duds like in between
Yeah.
here and there. Like I think okay, the 3DS ended up being a really popular system, but it wasn't because of like the 3D.
No.
The 3D was a stupid gimmick
Yeah.
and was fucking pointless on that system.
It
Most
was,
people play with it off, like never use it. They just don't play with the 3D on.
but they
Like,
tried. They tried something. I
yep.
That's the only thing
But
I
I think
appreciate from Nintendo.
that system was successful despite that. Um,
Yeah,
and there was the Wii, which was incredibly successful, but for a lot of it, a lot of people, I feel like, at least the more casual crowd, they bought a Wii, they played Wii Sports for like a week, and then it sat in a closet for 10 years and they never
but
used it again.
the
Like,
Wii was like like basically a family system, and
yeah,
the
no,
motion controls were like nobody was doing motion controls really like
no.
effectively. And like, the Wii wasn't perfect, but like really, when people actually got that and they were playing it, like families, like my family loved playing with the Wii, just like as like a fun kind of party system. Nintendo tries stuff. I appreciate
Yep.
Nintendo trying stuff for their systems. I appreciate that. Like they really do things that they're like obviously part of it is their own research. Like the Wii U, the research that they probably got from the Wii U was like, okay, that gamepad is really clunky, but maybe we can take that on the go and have like a sort of this
The,
hybrid of that
yeah,
and a DS
the
and
Wii
make it
U,
work.
the Wii U feels like it was like the prototype for the
Yeah,
Switch. It was like the bridge. It was the bridge
yeah,
between the home console and the Switch. It was like it was halfway there. It's like they had the gamepad, which allowed you to like someone else could use the TV and you could play the game on the gamepad.
yeah,
And then they came out with the Switch. It was like, well, the console just is the gamepad, and you just put it in the dock, and you can hook
right.
it up to the TV, or you could just take it and it becomes a portable system.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
somebody did market research and figured out that that is the optimal solution, the Switch, which it is. The Switch is great. Like really, I think the Switch, besides its the lack of
yeah, the hardware
hardware
capabilities.
capability for when you actually play the games, like the idea of it is fantastic.
Yep.
Um, I
And obviously, it's a portable system, so the hardware is limited. Like, there's
right,
only so much you can fit inside that little
true,
box to make it, first of all, like actually small enough to be portable. Second of all, like not too heavy, so it's like difficult to hold and
correct,
play when it's portable. And three, not heat up too much
right,
again when you're playing it portable. If it heats up too much, then it's going to be uncomfortable to hold in your hands because the system gets too hot. Like,
I which is what frustrates me, because Nintendo tries things with their systems, but will never try anything for anything else. And that's what annoys me about Nintendo. Is like
yeah,
they don't take leaps on almost anything else. Like their online system is like from 2002.
it's horrible.
Which is like
Yeah,
scary to me.
they're they are consistently 15 to 20 years behind the times on a lot of things. The only thing that they're ahead of the times on or they're innovative on is, as you said, their hardware,
Yeah.
mechanics. I don't know what to call them.
They're
Like,
just like the hardware capability, like not the capabilities are, but just like how you use it is they try these things. They're like, okay, like again, motion controls, and then with the DS and 3DS, okay, we're gonna have people have like this touchpad on the handheld, and they're gonna do some of that. Like they try some shit, they do, and it's the ideas don't always work, but I appreciate them always trying it. But everywhere else, I'm just like, Nintendo, you suck. You just kind of suck. They
and
really do kind of
their
suck.
their first party titles are, you know,
It just
really
carries
good.
them. It just
Yeah.
literally carries them.
And the other thing that I think they do really well with their first party titles is they don't rush them. They're not Call of Duty. We don't get a
Mm,
Zelda game or a Mario game every single year and it's like you get tired of it. It's like they take their time with them and they release one every couple of years at the most. But
right.
Zelda once every like 5 years
It's five
usually for like
years. It's like 5 years
main.
for a
It takes a
Zelda.
long time. Like they take their time with their games and they make sure they're good and they innovate in like the gameplay and like Mario, they could just do the same thing over and over again, but they don't. They come up with new ideas like Galaxy or Odyssey
Yeah,
or
no, they
you know
they do that.
they in Mario, Super Mario in 3D World or whatever, it's the old course clear mechanics, but they add a little thing to it. They had the cat suit in that game, they have the multiplayer with the four different playable characters in that game. Like
Mm,
they are creative and innovative with their
first party. Yeah.
games. Yeah, their first party games, and they don't overuse them so that you get tired of them like Call of Duty where you have a yearly release and people are just like,
Right.
okay, this is the same thing over and over and over again. It was good for a while, but now we're sick of it and we want
Right.
something else. Like,
Yeah, no, the Nintendo first parties, generally speaking, are extremely like creative. Generally, they're extremely creative. Um, but everywhere else, Nintendo's like, nope, take down the music, take down these emulators. We're gonna make our own, except it's gonna be terrible.
yep,
It's just like, okay, I just don't understand like who the person that's a creative lead for their first party games does an amazing job. The other people that are like doing the management of the emulator on the Switch, like I honestly think they
I
just came into work high every day,
I
and they're just like,
I
yeah,
mean,
sure,
I
why not?
I f I feel like they're the creative people, the people who design the games and the systems, the game developers, those people are great. The
Yeah,
corporate executives is just this bunch of 80-year-old Japanese men who are just so behind the times and like so traditionalist and
right.
they just don't give a fuck and there's like how do we there's this internet thing, people like listening to our music, how do we squeeze some more money out of
Yeah, how
people
can we
in the
squeeze a
worst
dollar?
the
Yeah,
worst way possible.
how can we
Like,
squeeze
I
a
don't
dollar?
know.
Yeah,
Like,
it's yeah. Nintendo has a bad mentality in certain areas, and you're just like, Nintendo, you could be better about this, and people already like you because of your first party titles, but
yep.
you, I feel like you're coasting on your first party. You know, I
Their
feel
their
like if
their
there was a
P their
flop on some
PR
of the first
yeah,
parties, like they would be in a lot of
their
trouble.
PR is horrible and they're completely anti-consumer. Like
Oh
they
yeah, it's terrible. Um. Anyway, yeah, it's just crappy that this like YouTube channel that's been around for 11 years has to stop because Nintendo is like a baby, and they're probably gonna try and like sell some like Nintendo music collection for $50 to us, and it's gonna be like a terrible quality somehow.
Yep.
Somehow they're gonna give us a shitty quality. Like collection of music, and it's just
Yeah,
gonna
and you
suck.
can only listen to it on the Switch. You can't do it on your
You
PC.
can't listen to
Or,
PC or
or
your
maybe
Switch.
they'll have us buy CDs. Maybe you could
Oh
buy
my
the
god.
CDs.
Would you want? Do you want a CD of Mario
You
music? It's like
you you want a CD? Our
no,
computers don't have CD drives anymore, Nintendo. Sorry to
Nintendo.
tell you that.
We can't do
Like,
that anymore. Like I don't know what you want us to do. Um. Anyway, any other stuff before we move forward?
no.
Okay. Here was a Battlefield statement. Today, as in 2 days ago, we're sharing the latest Battlefield 2042 details. It's worth noting that this details thing came hours before an investor meeting. There was a investor meeting to talk about, probably the next quarter or something like that, quarterly earnings meeting or whatever. And this came out before that meeting. I just want to point that out. You've waited patiently to hear from us on what we're doing to address the issues with Battlefield 2042, specifically about direction for the months ahead. We're taking action on multiple fronts to address feedback and implement extensive fixes to the game. And after release of an update in March, which will include improvements to scoreboards, which, yeah, scoreboards suck somehow in this game, subsequent updates will prioritize work that will include voice communication and player profile, squad loop, including a refined ping system, improved reward loop, expanded tools, modes, and tweaks to player experience gains in Battlefield Portal. The other thing to keep in mind again is that Season 1 will come out in early summer. Season 1 was supposed to come out in March, I think, and it got pushed back a couple months into summer. They don't say when in summer, they say early summer. Including 4 new specialists, some new locations, and more content. So just to be clear, Battlefield came out in November, right? Or was it late? It was like November
Might
because
have been.
during
It
like
might have been. It might have been late August. It might have been like the last week of October, but I'm not sure. Like around there.
no, it
Yeah.
was November because Thanksgiving weekend was like the first Axis weekend.
Oh, really? Okay, it was later
It
then.
was
Never
later
mind.
than that. It was
Like
it
the
was
end of
November.
November, end of November then. Okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
So keep this in mind. Like when Halo dropped in November, there's a season right away. Like as soon as you play it, there's a season. You just bam, you're in. Battlefield isn't going to have a season for what could be 7 months after release, which is a joke, by the way. That's like a joke. Your season 1 is 7 months after your release.
This game needed another 6 months to a year of development.
It did.
Like,
And by the way, 7 months, nobody's going to be playing this game at that point.
nope.
This game has like less than 6,000 concurrent players now, which is really bad for a game like this. It's horrible.
A multiplayer shooter. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A big name multiplayer shooter. That's really bad. So they had this like thing come out, and then there was an earnings call later that day talking about Battlefield, and they said they were disappointed in Battlefield sales. That's what they said. They were disappointed in the sales of Battlefield, but they have this roadmap now in place, and they could easily, reference this stupid picture. I'm inclined to believe that when season 1 of Battlefield starts, EA is going to be like, okay, well, we're not going to prioritize this. So whatever's in the pipeline, finish it up, and we're going to do other stuff. We're going to think about other things.
Start working on the next Battlefield, which will rush out the door again, and we'll have the same issue with. But okay.
Yeah, honestly, I think DICE should just stop for a while. I think DICE needs to overhaul.
They need to take a break.
I think DICE needs to overhaul. I mean, like whoever's there, I think they just need to overhaul. Like this is the third Battlefield game in a row I feel like that's had this issue where it's released too early and in a really bad state, and nobody wants to play it. I just think DICE needs to overhaul. Like they're clearly not doing a good job. Battlefront had the same issue. Battlefront, what happened? It released with terrible, these terrible loot boxes, and it also just like had problems on release. And this is what DICE does. And at some point, I'm actually surprised EA is not like looking at DICE going, "You're on the chopping block here. You're next. You better be careful." I wouldn't be surprised if at like when season 1 rolls out for this game, they're like, okay, we have like this light roadmap where we're gonna keep the servers up, but no DLC is coming out. We're not gonna come out with anything else. I just don't see EA giving a game like this a second thought when
Nope.
they have other things that actually are going to be more, I would just say, more profitable. This they acknowledge the sales of this game didn't go well. I'm guessing they're in like this scramble mode where they're like, well, how the frick do we recoup from this? This game, how do we come back? I don't know. I think this is one of those games where I think a year from now they're just not going to be supporting it. They're like, we'll keep the servers up, but we're not going to make content for it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, when will these companies learn their lesson, right? It's like when you rush out games and make shitty products, gamers don't like it and they either don't buy it, or if they do, they stop playing it real quick and they're not going to buy your DLC and whatever other garbage you have in there.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you should spend a little more time and make a good game, and then maybe you'll actually make more money. I know it's hard for these companies because to spend more time, you're paying people to make the game and losing, like, you're not making any money on it in the process, but you know.
Yeah, I'm like trying to even think about the like a lot of these. My guess is a company like EA is like, okay, Battlefield 2042. We're gonna start development here. And did Battlefield 2042 get delayed at all? I don't think it did.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so it didn't get delayed. But my guess is what happens is like, okay, well, we have Battlefield 2042 coming out before this earning, before this like at the end of this like fiscal point, and here's what we expect from it, and we can't delay it because then it ruins like our like reports after the fact. That it ruins the numbers after the fact. And like my guess is also like certain publishers, much like the movie industry, they kind of rely on this like big hit to support all their other garbage.
Yeah,
they have like one mega hit that supports garbage. In this case, maybe not garbage, but it might support like other projects, like a game like, let's say, Battlefield. If it came out to like this massive success, that can potentially support like 3 Star Wars games as an example. Obviously, maybe it wouldn't be Star Wars games, but like it gives like somebody like EA an incentive to support other areas because you made a bunch of profits. The problem is, I think all those profits don't actually go towards other projects like that. I'm pretty sure all those profits just like go into somebody else's pocket as a bonus.
Yep.
Which sucks.
Probably.
But like, that's how I would envision it. Is like you get like a massive hit, like a
they have their EA Sports, which
they have EA Sports. EA Sports funds a lot of stuff.
Everything.
Yeah, EA Sports funds a lot of stuff.
FIFA and Madden specifically.
Yeah, that funds a lot of things. But I think the main issue is like, well, if we delay this game, it messes up the earnings reports, and we can't have that. So just get it out. We'll figure it out later. And it's just like, okay, but
yeah, they're just really short-sighted.
It's like it would ruin your earnings if it came out like shit. So what do you want? Like I think you're kind of just like you're pinching a penny here, but at the same time, you're just gonna like lose it in the future anyway because nobody's gonna want to play this garbage. So you might as well just like spend the extra money for the 6 months, let it come out in a better state than where the game actually works, and you might recoup what you had to spend extra to incur like a 6-month delay.
And you might earn some good faith with the gaming community because you actually released a good product.
Yeah, but EA doesn't really care about that.
I know they don't, but
EA doesn't care about that. Bungie cares about that, but EA doesn't. EA doesn't care about good faith, good favor. If they wanted good favor, they wouldn't have FIFA and Madden be the way they are.
Well, I think that's an entirely like they know that they don't need good faith on that one because the sports game community is just like that. Like,
but they just know they don't need good faith on anything. I think they just don't care. They're routinely notorious on all their titles. So at this point, they've thrown like the satisfaction out of the window. It's like, yeah, we're not going to satisfy anybody, we think, but you know what? We're gonna make our money. It's the same thing with like like our next topic, like a Ubisoft. Ubisoft is weird right now. Ubisoft is one of those companies where they're going in on something that they shouldn't go in on, and they're stubbornly going in on it, and it's just going to blow up in their face. Which is our next topic here. Okay, so the person in charge of the NFT project Quartz had an interview, okay, and said that the negative reaction was expected, and explains that players just don't understand it. So,
So
it's actually your fault.
He's calling us all idiots. He's like, yeah, you're all idiots. You don't get it. You don't.
So it's our fault, okay? And here's the article. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because it's an interview. It's a long interview. If anybody wants to actually look at it on your own, I'm just going to put it in here. But there's a couple pieces of this interview which are interesting.
Can you scroll up for a second?
I want to
see what that guy that
he's just like it's probably a video like
that guy looks like, you know, those like generic pictures of like cavemen that they show. Yeah, he looks like one of those.
I see.
He looks like that guy.
I see.
Anyways,
so this is Nicholas Pollard. I don't know how to pronounce this. VP at Ubisoft Strategic Innovations Lab. Okay, so he's in charge of Quartz and Digits, the technology that's going to bring NFTs to games in Ubisoft. So, while it was a reaction we were expecting, we know it's not an easy concept to grasp, but Quartz is really just a first step that should lead to something bigger, something that will be more easily understood by our players. That's the way we think about it and why we'll keep experimenting. Okay? So I want to go back to a couple other parts of this.
Like that paragraph that excerpt that you just read from is literally word salad. He says nothing in that paragraph.
He says that we just don't get it and we're stupid. So that's
what
we
don't get it and we're stupid, and that the puzzle will be revealed. Well, okay, good for you, dumbass.
Well, let's talk about making sense of it. What do you think is the big positive that gamers are missing about what NFTs like Digits can offer them? Okay. I think gamers don't get what a digital secondary market can bring to them. For now, because of the current situation and context of NFTs, gamers really believe it's just first destroying the planet, but that's actually true. And second, just a tool for speculation. But what we at Ubisoft are seeing first is the end game. The end game is about giving players the opportunity to resell their items once they're finished with them or they're finished playing the game itself. Okay, so really, it's really for them. It's really beneficial, but they don't get it for now. Okay, so once you're done with the item that you get, the NFT item, you can give it to you can resell it to somebody else.
That doesn't sound like an NFT then, the way you explain it to me. That's
it is, because you're reselling the digit spot that skin represents. So that skin represents like a database number 1157. You can use 1157 and then resell 1157 to somebody else. It is like it sounds like skin trading, like the skin trading market.
This is, I'm just gonna say, Blizzard tried this with Diablo 3.
They
tried the real money auction house and people fucking hated it, so they took it down. Like,
so there's just like all these things in this interview, and the guys just completely deflecting what people have as problems for NFTs, and particularly in games NFTs. And he's like, no, you don't get it. We're actually doing this because it's better for you, and you're not seeing the end game.
Nope.
So here's another one. The most cynical feedback I've read from gamers has pointed to this all being a ploy to line Ubisoft pockets with more money, but you see it being about creating a deeper player engagement experience. Okay. This is one of those things where, like, you don't ask this to somebody like this. You don't ask this question because you know what the answer is going to be. They're never going to say that it's a ploy to line their pockets with more money.
They're never gonna
They're
say
never
that
gonna
they're
say
scam.
that.
They're not gonna say that they're scam. Why would they admit that they're scamming you? Come on.
They're never gonna say that. So why would you ask this question?
So this is a scam, right?
They're not gonna say that. It's like you're not just doing this to make more money. It's like, no, they're never gonna say that. Like, why would you ask this question? Yes, the model of play to earn is about allowing players to make their own money by adding value to the whole ecosystem. Oh my god. Okay. I'm just trying to find the other stuff that I saw in here. Okay. Do you guys see a future where players own the games themselves, that the games are an NFT? Okay.
Nope.
That's part of the use case we can explore, but it's not the focus today. So I don't get this idea. They're like, you own the game as an NFT. I don't get this idea. So there's a limited supply of games, let's say 1,000, and you own one of those. So
I'm good with what I have.
it's just like I don't get this concept. I mean, like, inherently, at some point there is going to be an endpoint of supply on like physical games. Like, you're not going to actually like create an infinite number of, Super Mario World games. Maybe you've made like 10 million. Okay, let's just say 10 million. And but digitally, like a digital game, I don't understand the concept of having a digital game be a finite supply. That seems stupid to me.
Makes no sense.
That seems really dumb. To be like, okay, there's a million of these games out there digitally, and let's say it's a really popular game too. Like, let's say it's Destiny 2. There's 1 million copies of Destiny 2 digitally out there, and if we hit that million mark of Destiny, like, that's it. Nobody else can have this game. You have to buy it off somebody else. That seems like gross to me. Yep. I heard somebody thinking like, oh, that's an interesting concept. I don't like the concept at all. I think it's a bad concept. I think it's a really bad idea. So I would also, actually don't want to see that implemented.
How does that help? Like,
it helps nobody.
That's bad for everybody. Like, that's bad for whoever's making the game if they have a finite number of them, and then it just goes to resale market. Like, developers, like, they hate, like, back when physical games were a thing and people would trade their games into GameStop and GameStop would resell them. Like, the developers and publishers hate that because they don't make any money off of resale.
They don't. But in this case, they will make money off the resale because they'll control the market for it. So they'll control the market, and we'll have to pay like a transaction fee to Ubisoft. So let's say you buy a game for me for $10. Well, you're actually buying, I'm getting $9 and Ubisoft gets $1. So actually, this is a great model for the game developer and publisher.
If that becomes the reality of the game industry, I will probably cease to be a gamer. Like,
it's just like right now
that is cancer.
Right now, digital games are infinite. Okay, like theoretically, it's infinite, right? Like, there is an infinite supply of Mass Effect 2 to download digitally.
You just download the files from the server.
Correct. Yeah, very simple idea. Good idea, because it means that the market doesn't get completely fucked at some point, where they're like, oh, digital supply of Mass Effect it has run its course, and we are no longer going to digitally provide it. However, we're going to open up this reseller market where you can sell your digital copy of the game. That just opens Pandora's box to me.
Yeah, that just sounds like cancer.
It sounds really bad. Like, there's somebody out there that's like, this is a great idea. I can like actually like use this and make millions of dollars off of it. But to me, I don't like it. I think it benefits Ubisoft incredibly well because they're going to take a service fee off every transaction. Of course it makes sense for them. They're going to take like a 5% service fee or whatever. They're like, okay, you bought it for $1 million, we get 5%. And they don't have to do any work for that except be the middleman. So I don't like that idea. I just don't. I don't like this idea too. It just continually, really perpetuates. It promotes the problem that like skin sites had, which is you're like it's a skin reseller market, and like we saw there were problems with that already. Why are we trying to bring this back in a different way? I don't like any part of this, is my opinion.
Yeah, I don't either.
Um,
NFTs are, I mean, we don't need to get into the details, but NFTs are basically a scam, and you shouldn't be a part of it, because you're being scammed if you're a part of it.
it it conceptually does it feels really stupid to me, but there are people
Unless
buying
you're the
into it.
person who's like creating NFTs and selling NFTs, in which case you're the one scamming people. I'm sure it's very profitable. But
Oh,
other than that,
it's
like,
insanely profitable for that person, considering like people are spending millions of dollars purchasing them from people. It's like it's insanely profitable for that person or that group, but everybody else is just like,
yeah, and a lot of these NFTs are just like they're just stealing content from other people and putting it as a number in their database and be like, yep, that's our NFT,
it's
whatever.
it's so
Like,
it's so stupid. It's
it's
so
really
stupid.
bad.
Um, the last bit of Ubisoft is Hyperscape is shutting down. Hold back your tears.
No surprise.
Hold back your tears. Yeah,
How long did this exist? Like a year, a little more,
I think 2 years.
less, 2 years.
I want to say 2 years. We can check. We can confirm this. Hyperscape release date. I want to say 2 years. July 12th, 2020. Almost a full 2 years.
Yeah, it's like a year and a half.
Yeah,
Yeah.
almost a full 2 years. Year and a half. Yeah. So this lasted almost, well, a year and a half. Yeah. I mean, the game never took off. It's not Fortnite. I I did hear that there were some interesting things in it, but
Yep.
the game had
I mean,
problems also with
Ubisoft
patches and
took,
things like that.
they took their shot at the battle royale. I think they were a little late to the party on this one,
Yeah.
unfortunately. You already had Fortnite, which is exceptionally popular, and then you had Apex and Call of Duty, which also are taking their share of the market. And obviously, this game wasn't good enough or did anything interesting enough to take its own share. So
Yep.
yeah,
Ubisoft was desperate on this one too. They were paying they were practically paying people to play this at some point. There was a point where if you downloaded and played this, they give you $10 coupon. They were like practically paying you to play it. And people still didn't bite on
please,
that. So
please
it's
just
bad.
play Hyperscape. We'll give you a $10 Ubi coupon.
And it's just like,
Like,
yeah. It just didn't do anything enough. And it was too late. It's just too late. At this point,
yeah,
there's no point in doing BRs unless you're doing something so insanely different and interesting. But
yeah,
I just don't see that happening right now.
the market, yeah, the market is saturated. Stop.
Yeah, market settled. Market settled on
Yeah.
3. And I think that's good enough. It's like MOBAs right
Yep.
now. Market settled on about 2 for MOBAs.
Yep.
Um Battle Royales, we've got 3. I think that's gonna be good enough for now. Now we just have to figure out if Blizzard can be the next survival giant. We gotta figure out certain
Yeah.
other genres. But yeah, not surprised by Hyperscape. Okay. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is planned for reveal this year, producer confirms. Did they even say when they were thinking the reveal would be? Did they give
No,
a time frame? Oh, they just said this year.
no, they just said hopefully this year. Basically, they said hopefully this year
Oh,
sometime.
okay.
Kind of
Well,
it.
it's been 2 years almost. Been two
Yeah, it
years.
came out in April of 2020.
Okay. So it would make sense if the game released like maybe next year.
Well, yeah, and then they had the Integrate come out last year, right? In
Mm-hmm.
like June or something. So
Oh, Integrate. Oh, Integrate. You mean the
yeah, I mean,
PS5 exclusive?
everyone knew there was going to be a part two of this, and there's likely going to be a part three as well, because I don't think they'll get through the rest of the game in part two. Um, so yeah, I mean, makes sense. It's been a couple years since the game came out. They had a DLC. I'm sure they're working on it and have been working on it. So
Yep.
yeah,
So yeah, I obviously didn't finish the first remake. I don't know. I mean, like it would make sense if they had something this year to reveal, maybe during E3, and actually give like the releases next year. That would make sense, at least to
Yep,
me.
I agree.
Based on the timing. I'm more interested to hear about like Final Fantasy 16. I feel like we heard about that once and we got like a visual, like a trailer for
Yeah,
it, and we'd never heard from it again. And I'm like,
yeah,
oh, did Square Enix just turtle up on that one? It's like, nope,
yeah. I
that's
feel
it.
like they revealed that game at like the end of 2020, and we really haven't really heard a peep about it since.
It's like, okay, we're turtling now. Goodbye.
It's
Here's
it's
your
kind of like it's kind of like what happened with Tales of Arise when they announced it initially. They announced it at like one of the E3s, and we didn't hear about it for like 2 years after that. Basically, it was
yeah.
like, okay, the
They
game
just
just
like they just
disappeared.
turtled. They're like, okay, it's happening. Okay, now we're turtling for a while.
Yeah,
You'll hear about it when you'll hear about it. Um, so I mean, yeah, FF7R was popular, so I'm sure
yep,
the second one's going to be popular too. I, you know, it's going to be PlayStation 5 exclusive. I think we can safely guarantee that, right? Which means
that's. I didn't actually even think about that. That's likely. I would
that's
say that's
likely,
likely.
assuming that PlayStation 5s hopefully they become more readily available for people. I don't know how bad the shortage is still, but I mean it seems like it's still bad. Based on everything we've seen so far. So yeah. Um unless you're able to get a PlayStation 5 soon, Spoon, I don't see you being able to play it. I don't see why they would make this PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. I think they're just going to put it right on the PlayStation 5. They've got to sell the new system, right? I don't see
Yeah,
them even trying for PlayStation
they would.
4.
They don't have any problem selling the new system. It's really hard to get, but
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's hard to get, no problem selling it, but I don't see them doing a PlayStation 4 version of it.
Yeah,
I don't
I
see it.
mean, I wouldn't.
I'd be
I honestly
surprised.
wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised either way. I could see them just keeping it on PS4 because it's probably going to run on the same engine and be similar to the first one, so they'd kind of have the ability to have it on PS4. But
Sure.
I agree with you. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a PS5 exclusive as well. That would make sense. But
Yeah. I predict E3. I predict they'll get something on E3.
yeah, it makes sense.
That's what I predict. Okay, I have one more thing on here. I added this. Here's an update. Amazon's raising the fee of Prime subscription service by $20.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
that's substantial. That is
That's a lot.
substantial. Um,
It's
it's
going
also
from
worth
120
noting.
to 140.
It's also worth noting that Jeff Bezos' massive freaking yacht can't get through a bridge, so they're dismantling a historic bridge so that his dumb fucking yacht can get through it. They're not destroying it. They're dismantling it, and they're gonna have to put it back together. They're putting back together a historic bridge.
Where? Where is
Oh
this?
God, it was like oh God, let me find it again. It was Rotterdam, Dutch. It's a Rotterdam. Yep. So Rotterdam, the Dutch city of Rotterdam. Sort of. Oh, they said they walked back earlier comments. The decision hasn't been made yet, but I saw this thing on Twitter, and it was that they're gonna dismantle a bridge for Jeff Bezos' massive yacht, and I'm just like, no, don't do that. Let him suffer.
Let
We're
him.
not.
Well, okay. Here's what I would say. If you want to pay me to dismantle, yeah. If you want to pay for us, if you want to pay all the workers and all the time it's gonna take to dismantle and put that bridge so your yacht can go through it, sure, fine. But the city ain't
No,
footing the bill for that shit.
no,
Like,
he'd be paying for it.
fuck
I would
off.
imagine. No, he'd be paying
Yeah,
for it. But yeah, I just wanted to bring this up. It's not necessarily like specifically gaming, but Twitch has Prime. Twitch Prime
yeah.
is bundled into Amazon Prime, and the subscription service going up by $20. I do think that's significant. Um, it's not like Amazon that like slowly puts up your price $1 every year. It is a big price hike, and yeah, I'm obviously not a fan of it, but that's a
mean,
big one as somebody who has Prime.
yeah, same.
So
I mean,
get use out of it. Get your use out of it is what I'm gonna say.
I usually do.
Um,
Speaking of Prime, people should watch the Legend of Vox Machina, which is on Prime Video. It's really good.
oh, I've
Even if,
heard
even
it's
if
good.
you're not like particularly a fan of Critical Role, obviously there's Easter eggs in there for people who are fans of it. But
Mm.
I think the show is really good regardless.
Yeah, I've heard it's
It's
good.
very mature. It's very adult. There's like a lot of swearing. There's like sex jokes. It's very gory too.
Oh,
Like
okay.
some of the way yeah, there were some gruesome deaths in the
Yeah,
first 3 episodes. Like
that's probably the way to go though with that because I think Critical Role was mature content.
it's adult. It's
It's
very
mature
mature. Yeah,
content,
they swear a lot. There's a lot of sex jokes. There's a lot of like yeah.
so it makes it fun. It's like it's part of the fun. Um, oh, there's one other thing I wanted to mention. Oh God, now I forgot. Oh God, it has nothing to do with game news, so I'm gonna move off game news.
I posted something today. Just like basically the sales of Arceus are really good, which
Yeah,
isn't surprising.
what a shock! Color me surprised. A Pokemon game is selling well? No way.
Yeah, but it's selling better than even like Sword and Shield or what did it say?
Again, no, I have no surprise. It's such a new Pokemon game with the way that it plays and looks. Like it's gonna sell like hotcakes.
Yeah, it's the second um um the second fastest selling game in Japan. This is only like the problem with this is it only takes physical sales into account, so
Yeah,
we'll
digital matters.
like yeah, but
Digital
in
matters.
Japan at least it's only behind Animal Crossing as the
Wow.
fastest selling Switch game in Japan
Wow.
physically.
Animal
Um
Crossing. Holy moly. That's actually crazy
yeah, it
to me.
sold better than both Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl
Yeah,
and
no
Sword and
surprise.
Shield.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
not surprised. It's just this is what people have wanted for I feel like 10 years. I feel like it's been 10 years and people have wanted this so badly. So
yeah.
it's people had blue balls for this and they finally got to release and that's it.
Since all of us that grew up with Pokemon and like MMOs existed basically and the internet existed, we've been asking for this. Like
We've been patiently waiting, really.
yeah.
Um and it's like taking a while, but we got it. The only other thing I was going to mention is I was driving today. Kate and I were driving and we were driving to back home because I get a weekly COVID test as part of school. It's like a
Hmm.
requirement. And I saw a billboard and it said drivers thank you. I wasn't sure who it was from. So I was like, "Oh, that's really nice. Like drivers do matter. Like all the people that do all these like deliveries and all the people that like
Yeah.
do all this stuff." They're like, "Oh, that's cute." It was an Amazon ad. And the first thing I thought was like, "Oh, that's a fucking lie. You don't care about your drivers."
Nah, yeah, they sure don't.
They're probably like, thank you, as the driver's peeing in the bottle.
Hmm.
So I just like I had like a nice feeling. I was like, oh, it's an unadvertised billboard that just says drivers thank you. Great. And then it had an Amazon logo at the bottom, and I instantly got angry. Because I'm like,
Yep.
Amazon, you don't mean that. You're lying. You don't mean that. You've never meant that. You as a
Nope.
company have never meant that. I'm sure there are people in the company that actually care, but the company itself doesn't care. The
Nope.
company itself is like, do you need another bottle to pee in? We've got Amazon branded bottles for you.
We've got Amazon branded piss bottles.
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody posted on Twitter an email. It's like, I just got this email from Amazon. Are they serious? And it's like, we're going to implement a catheter into your car so that you can pee in the car without any problem. It just hooks right in.
That's not how catheters work, but
Nope. Wouldn't be
okay.
surprised. Wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised at all if that was a thing. I just see this email on Twitter. I'd be like, yeah, I know. I knew this was happening.
You
Jeff
you, you need a
Bezos invested in it.
you need a medical professional to insert a catheter, but you know.
Medical professional's gonna come with you and do it. It's
Yeah.
like, really? I just yeah, that billboard made me chuckle. I just because I'm like at first when if it was an unadvertised billboard, it would have been fine for me.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but it would have been fine compared to actually having like a DoorDash logo or that's like
yeah.
if I saw a billboard that says we care about getting your meal on time and it was a DoorDash ad.
DoorDash, yeah,
No, I'm like no you
lol.
don't. Shut up.
Omega lol.
No you don't. You don't care about that at all. You if you did, I would have gotten my full meal instead of half of it.
Yeah.
So it drives me crazy. But anyway, sorry. I was thinking about it as we were talking about all this other stuff. Um okay. Give me your Pokemon impressions so far.
Yeah.
Um
Let's do.
yeah, give me your thoughts. And
Yeah.
I'll
So
let you talk.
I'm like 10 to 12 hours into the game. I've have 4, they have these star ranks that you get just the more you complete the Pokedex, basically. I have 4 out of the 10 stars that you can get for that, and I've beaten 2 out of them. I just beat the second boss, and I think there's 5. Or there's a place where you save where it shows there's like, slots for each boss basically, and it looks like there's 5 of them, so I assume there's
It,
five
is a
five
boss
bosses.
a Pokemon or a trainer?
It's a Pokemon.
Okay,
It's one of
got
the
it.
noble Pokemon who's
That's right.
been like struck by lightning, and you have to like dodge their attacks and then throw stuff at them, and then you fight them, and yeah, that's it.
Okay,
Uh,
got it. Continue.
Um, I mean, what I'll say in general is like the game is really fun. Is it perfect? No, but I think there's a lot of really good ideas in this game. Um, Ghost and I were talking about this yesterday a little bit, but this this game has a lot of good ideas, and what I would really like to see out of Pokemon after this game is a fusion between the regular Pokemon games and this. So you have a mainline Pokemon game where the objective can still be, you have the 8 gyms, the 8 badges, you have the Elite Four, you have like the team that you fight or whatever. But the catching mechanics and the way the world is set up is a little more like this,
Mhm.
a little more open world. You can kind of see the Pokemon, you can fight them to catch them, or you can just throw balls at them. I assume with like legendaries and stuff like that, you would need to fight them
Yeah,
to
sure.
catch them and
Makes
stuff like
sense.
that. You wouldn't be able to just like sneak up on a legendary and just like throw a ball at them and catch them. That'd be kind of silly.
Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
because this game does, obviously the game does not look exceptionally good. The environments are not great. The character models look pretty good. The facial expressions of the characters I really like. Actually, they have some good like make some good facial expressions occasionally, and the Pokemon models look good. But just about everything else looks subpar at best. Like the textures are rough. The vistas aren't particularly impressive, to be honest. Um, and yeah, like the draw distance isn't very good. Um, which it's the Switch. We get it. It's limited, but Breath of the Wild and Xenoblade 2 both came out 5 years ago, and those games look way better than this. And they do the open world and the vistas and that just way better than this game does. So
Right.
I'm not sure what the issue is with like Pokemon or Game Freak or I don't know what the issue is, like why their games just don't look that good, basically.
Yeah.
Because other, you know, studios or developers have made perfectly good looking games on the Switch. Again, they're not the
Right.
best, they're not going to be top of the line graphics, but this is this game is probably one of the big like first party or relatively high budget games on the Switch. This is probably one of the worst looking ones that there is. Like,
Yeah. I haven't played it, but I agree with you. I, if you put this side by side with Breath of the Wild, which Breath of the Wild, for what we've talked about of it, they really utilized what they had to make that world look good. It wasn't
mhm,
like, they didn't have the I mean, it's a Switch. You don't have the same power as as your Xboxes or your
And that game,
PlayStation
by the
systems.
way, Breath of the Wild came out on the Wii U, and I actually played that game on the Wii U, and it was perfectly fine on the Wii
Yeah,
U as well. So
yeah, I did too. So usually it comes down to a couple things, I think, for me when I think of why they can't do it. Number one is money. If you're like an indie studio, maybe you can't do it because you can't afford it. That's reasonable.
that should not be a problem for
Shouldn't be a
Pokemon.
problem, so that we can't say that. Um, Next thing is style. This game does have a style, so there's something there. But the style in this case shouldn't mean the graphics should look like this. The third reason is the development team doesn't know how. And I think it's that. I just think they don't know how.
Or their engine, maybe like they're obviously. I'm sure they're using some sort of in-house engine, and maybe their engine is just shit. I don't
I
know.
think it
Like,
is. I'm sure it's the same or similar engine to Sword and Shield. And Sword and Shield didn't look great. So why would
yeah,
this look great?
I'm sure it's the same engine as Sword and Shield.
It's like why we were making fun of Fallout
But
76 and Bethesda. Like
I
that
think Sword and
engine.
Shield looks significantly better than this game, to be honest. Like,
Yeah,
those games all look great, but they're better than this.
yeah, the style of that game though didn't need it to look amazing. Though. It's such like a smaller, it's such a different style of game that it didn't need to do too much more. This game, when you do an open world, you have to do a certain amount
Obviously,
to make it work.
yeah.
Um, and like you can really screw that up. And the only thing I can say about the graphics is there's not enough actually. I just feel like somebody said, well, if we put too many trees in here, the game's gonna have a bad frame rate. So let's take away some trees, kind of situation. I think that's what happened. Is they tried it and they tried to put a lot of stuff in the world and it lagged. And they said, well, we can't do that. So we gotta take stuff away now.
Yeah,
That would make sense to me too.
that was maybe what it was on like that first trailer where the frame rate was crap.
And they said, well, we don't have enough time to fix it now. So just take stuff away. And that way the frame rate will increase because there's not enough, there's not as much to deal with for that load when you have to keep running through the world and things have to load in. It's not as much to load in. So that is, yeah, it's sad though because there should be more. Like Xenoblade has a lot of stuff in their vistas. There's like a lot happening actually. A lot of monsters. There's a lot of like environmental features. The textures aren't like perfect, but whatever. Character models look good. Breath of the Wild has a lot of stuff happening. There's monsters roaming the world. There's like a lot of environmental effects and things like that. Like there's storms happening, weather effects. So there's a lot to manage, and it manages it better. And Pokemon has like 10 trees at any point in time, and some grass, some like that bad texture, that textured grass that is just like kind of like the best they could do kind of grass.
Yep.
Um, it just doesn't look great. But
Yeah.
I, I personally was willing to forgive some of it because it's a Switch.
Yep.
But when I saw the full thing and when you were playing it, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So
Yeah. But overall, visuals aside, the game is really fun. The one thing I will say, if you're a big fan of like Pokemon battles, trainer battles, this might not be your cup of tea because there's
yeah.
not a lot. I've played, probably between 10 and 12 hours, and I probably had less than 10 battles with a trainer.
Okay. I'm yeah. Okay. I
And most of them
yeah.
just feel like a level check. It's like there'll be a battle right before the boss, and it's like, okay, you were high enough level to beat this battle, so you should be good to take on the boss now.
Really
Like,
is. Yeah, makes sense. Um,
though there wasn't one before the second boss, but there was like one right before the first boss, and I was like, okay, yeah,
I think it's
um,
okay because the game is supposed to be like
yeah, and
early
and
history. Sure.
and yeah, and the world is such that like not a lot of people have Pokemon.
Yeah,
Basically,
makes
that's
sense.
kind of the way the world is, and that's fine. But I'm just saying, if you're someone who really loves the competitive aspects of Pokemon and battling trainers, either other humans or just the battling aspect of um, the single player experience, the AI. There's not a lot of that in this game.
Yeah, they're.
Um,
I mean, you can't even do online battling, so there's that.
yeah, yeah, and I don't think this game uses a new system for the way the turns work in battling. It's not like sequential turns where you both it's like, okay, it's the next turn. You both select your moves and then it plays out based on the speed
Sure.
of each Pokemon, and each Pokemon gets to go, and then it's the next turn, and you do that again. In this game, there's a turn order, and when it's your turn, you get to pick a move, or throw an item, or throw a Pokeball, or whatever it is. Um, and then that happens, and then it's the other person's turn, and they get to do something. So it's not like one turn is each person getting an action. It's like each person has an individual turn, basically. And you can have situations where you get two turns in a row or they get two
Yeah.
turns in a row.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's the turn order thing and they have the agile style and strong style thing, which can affect the turn order.
It's a
Which I think is cool,
yeah.
but it definitely wouldn't be balanced for competitive. Like I
No,
think this would
you
be
can't do that
really
for competitive. No, you can't do it
bad
for
for
competitive.
competitive.
No, you can't.
Um, it would just break the meta of
But
competitive.
but for a game
So
like this, which isn't just single player, it's fine.
yeah,
Whatever.
and you can also have situations in the wild where you are fighting multiple Pokemon at once, which is actually really frustrating in my opinion. Like I had a situation where I was fighting like two or three Pokemon at the same time.
How does that work? Do you have like one Pokemon fight one, and then another one of your Pokemon fight
No,
a
you
different
can
one?
only have one of your Pokemon out at the same time, and there's like three Pokemon ganging up on you, and it's kind of frustrating to
That
be honest.
that seems like an,
Like,
an incredible oversight to not be like, oh, there's three Pokemon. I should be able to throw three of mine out and multitask that out. It seems like somebody really didn't think that through.
yeah, there was one like side quest battle where you just had to fight three Stunkies at the same time. They were all weak,
But
but
but why
you
can you
get
only
one
use one?
turn and then they get three turns, and you're like, all right,
But
cool.
it doesn't. It also just doesn't make sense. Like it it, it just doesn't make sense. In Pokemon, there was multi battling where like there was that one Pokemon game, I forgot which one, where you could like actually fight a horde of Pokemon at once.
Yeah, that was
Um,
Sun and Moon, I
yeah, Sun and
think.
Moon, right? We fight like this horde of like three to three, four, five, whatever it was.
Six,
Yeah,
yes, yeah,
six, yeah.
five or six, I think was about the
And they're
max. I don't
super
remember.
weak, and you would fight with your one, but they were so weak that it just didn't
Didn't matter.
matter. But for this kind of game, I'm just gonna say it, like that game probably could have implemented a system where you could throw like two or three out at once, but I mean whatever. In this game, why can't you throw three Pokemon out at once? Like there's really no
Yeah,
reason not to, actually. Like for
I don't
some
know.
things, it kind of makes sense. Like there's a there's like some kind of realistic limitation. Like you can't jump 20 feet in the air as your character because people don't jump 20 feet in the air, and it's kind of unrealistic in
Hmm.
most situations for like a game like this. Like if your character could jump 20 feet in the air, you'd be like, why though? That seems weird. There's no reason why you can't have three Pokemon out at once. Like what stops you from that?
Yeah,
Or it's not like it's connected to your like life force, and it's like, oh, if I have three out, I get super exhausted. Um, there's just no reason. So I don't know. I don't. It's super weird when it's like somebody didn't think that maybe a player would want to throw out two Pokemon at once at like a multi battle, not like a single battle, 1v1, no. But like if you're fighting two other Pokemon, why can't you be like throw your second Pokemon? Do you want to do that? Why not? I never
yeah, I
understood
don't know.
that.
Yeah. So those situations I find a little bit annoying, but I think the agile style, strong style is like a
Yeah,
cool little twist they added into the battle system, and the turn order
I
is
agree.
cool.
I
The
agree.
other thing that they've done with the combat that I really like is the way they've done the way moves work. Basically, when your Pokemon learns a move, levels up and learns a move, it just says that your Pokemon learned a move.
Yep.
And you have to go in the menu and check that out. And maybe they shouldn't have done it this way in particular. But what I like about this is your Pokemon now has a pool of moves, and if you learn more than four, you don't have to like delete a move and then go to some move tutor in some random city and relearn the move if you want to relearn the move. No, you just have this pool of moves and you can swap them in and out at will as
Yep.
long as you're not in battle. You just go into the menu, go to your Pokemon, there's an option that says change moves, and you can swap your moves in and out at will, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And there's, as opposed to having TMs in this game, because TMs wouldn't really make sense in this game, there's a person in the town who just can teach your Pokemon moves. Costs money for each move for each individual Pokemon, so it's a little more expensive than having TMs. But again, TMs wouldn't really make sense in this
It's
world.
like
So
you're training. You got to do a
yeah,
training montage with your Pokemon. Like, sure,
yeah.
why not? Whatever. It's like
So yeah,
early history Pokemon.
yeah.
Interesting.
So I like the way they've done that. The same thing happens with evolution. When your Pokemon can evolve, you just get a little notification that says, "Hey, your Pokemon can evolve,"
Yep.
and you have to go into the menu and click evolve, and they will
And then it
evolve.
happens. Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
um, So yeah, I like those things. The other thing, at least with combat, that I'm not sure that I like, it's just weird and different, is that the way experience is distributed. You don't get experience each time you defeat an enemy Pokemon. You
Okay.
get experience if you're fighting multiple Pokemon, you get experience for the whole battle at the end of the battle. But if one of your Pokemon has fainted during that battle, they don't get any experience for that battle.
Isn't that how regular Pokemon works though? Like, if your
No,
Pokemon
because
faints,
because if you're fighting a trainer that has like 6 Pokemon, for example, obviously not a lot of trainers in Pokemon have 6, but okay,
right?
let's say it's 3. If you send out a Pokemon, kill one, and then you get experience for that. You get
Oh,
experience for
okay.
that one
Now I
after
see
you
what you're saying.
defeat it, and then they send out another one and knock out the Pokemon that you have been using. That Pokemon's down, but it's gained the experience it had
Yeah.
for the fighting that it did.
Yeah.
In this system, if you're fighting a trainer with 3 Pokemon, down one of their Pokemon, you don't get experience right there. You don't get experience till the end of the battle until you've knocked out all of their Pokemon, at which point your entire party gets experience for that battle. But if you have a Pokemon who's fainted, they don't get any experience even if they maybe killed 2 out of the
Hmm.
3 opponent's Pokemon, which is just kind of weird. I
Yeah,
don't
that's an oversight.
get why they did it that way.
I think I get why they did it that way. Actually, here's what I think happened. Um, they got every creative person in the company to walk into a room with a whiteboard, and they threw 20 markers on the table, and they said, "Put down every idea possible that isn't what's already in Pokemon now." And somebody wrote that as an idea, and they're like, "Fuck it, we're gonna try it."
Yeah.
I think it's an oversight though. It's like it makes no sense. Like your Pokemon defeated another one, you should get some experience for that. Like you did an act that I think in most RPG games would give you experience. So
Well,
why?
in other RPGs that have, like, party-based mechanics, there are, especially earlier RPGs, they've kind of phased this out in some games, but if one of your if your party members is down at the end of the battle, you won't gain that party member won't gain experience for that battle.
Right.
But the thing about it is, Pokemon, though you have a party of 6, it's an individual
Yeah,
fighting
exactly.
like one at a time, and they
Right.
do, they'll like knock out, and types are important. And in this game also, as opposed to the mainline game, which I know you could turn this option off, but by default, you are anytime you defeat an enemy Pokemon, you're given the option to swap to a different Pokemon
Correct.
based on what they're sending out next. Yeah, that's not in this game either. So if you maybe you have a good type matchup on what you're fighting there, so I defeat a grass Pokemon with my starter, which is Cyndaquil, and then they send out a rock Pokemon. Well, I either got to switch or Cyndaquil's probably going to go down. Like,
Yeah. For a single player game, it makes more sense to be like, do you want to swap? Though it makes it easier. The having that's kind of nice. Like for competitive, I get why that's not a thing, obviously. But I don't know. I think it adds challenge, but
yeah, no, I don't mind that it's that. It's just annoying that in that situation, now my Cyndaquil isn't going to get experience for that
exactly.
battle because it got KO'd by the second Pokemon that they sent out, even though it knocked out the first one.
Right.
So
So it's like you're just having to swap
doesn't
out a bunch, but
really
even then
make
that's a
sense.
free hit on the next one that
Kind of,
comes in.
yeah, it's kind of annoying,
It's an
but
oversight. I think somebody got too cute. They wrote on the board. The guy was desperate for ideas, so he put it in there, and that's what happened. I mean, like, but the board like had tons of other ideas that I think are good, like agility and strength. Like the idea of you change your priority based on like, okay, do you want your next move's priority to be faster, or do you want to be stronger but lose some speed? That makes a lot of sense. It's
Yep.
a good trade off. Um, but this experience thing, what you're describing, it's a bad idea.
Yeah,
I
I don't like
It's
it.
a bad idea. I'm sure somebody likes it, but I hate it when I heard it from you again. Now that I understand it, now I hate it. It's a bad idea. It's Yeah,
It
this doesn't
doesn't
sound
work
good.
for doesn't work for Pokemon
No,
specifically.
yeah,
Um,
works for other things, but not this.
but yeah, they tried a lot of things. There's a lot of good ideas and a lot of not so good not a lot. And a few they're not terrible. Like this experience thing is like it's annoying, but does it ruin the game? No, not really. Like the good outweighs the bad by a long shot in this
Sure.
game. That's what I'll
Okay.
say. The game is fun. Even though the world looks kind of bland and not great, the world's still fun to explore, go around catching Pokemon. It's fun to like speed run catch Pokemon. You see a group of like 3 or 4 in an area, and then you just like pop, 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 and like, you know, just
Yeah,
throw
no,
balls at
it's
them and catch them.
that
That's
sounds like a
fun.
good system for catching Pokemon in a game like this.
Um,
Just bam, bam. There you go. Keep throwing them.
yeah. The targeting's a little. You have to be really close to target like lock onto a Pokemon, which I find a little bit obnoxious to be quite honest. But
Okay.
um, so yeah, that could use some work. There's also like if there's multiple Pokemon nearby, there's no way to like manually switch targets. Um,
Why?
yeah, yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Oversight. Oversight. There
Like you
it
don't
is.
have to lock on to throw a Pokeball, but obviously locking on,
It's nice. To
makes it
be
a lot,
precise,
a
it's
hell of a lot
nice. Yeah.
easier.
Precision is
Um,
important, I would imagine.
so yeah, um, so there's some things like that where it's just like a little janky, but it's their first go at it, so you can you know give them a pass a little bit. Also, it's Pokemon, like
Yeah,
um,
Pokemon's gonna get a pass in general on a lot of things because in this case, people just want something different, and it is different.
yeah,
Um, I've seen a lot of things that we talked about it. This seems like a really good prototype.
yeah,
It's a really good prototype of
yeah,
what could be the
lot of
future.
a lot of good ideas. And again, I would like to see a fusion of this and a normal Pokemon game where there's like more battling.
Yeah.
Um, 'Cause I like the battling. I think it's fun. I like this for what it is. I think it's fun. The other thing I'll say that I think is a little bit annoying, it's pretty fast to traverse the world, especially with the like the mounts that you get. Like the mounts move pretty fast. But at least so far in the first 2 areas, there's only 2 fast travel sections in each area. There's one right at the beginning of the area, and then there's one somewhere else in the area, which is just like the areas aren't that small, so I feel
Yeah.
like there should be.
More.
Actually, no, the second one actually had a third fast travel point. I take that back. Um, but yeah, I just felt like with the first area specifically, there probably should have been at least one more fast travel point, if not two,
Yeah.
because
y- y- You
getting
don't.
to some of the
Yeah.
areas that were a little more distant was just like, okay, I just got to run through all this crap that I don't care about to
Yeah.
get there. Like,
And again, it doesn't help that the world is not as filled as somebody like Xenoblade. Like Xenoblade, if you want to run across it, there's a lot to see. Like you may run across something you're not familiar with, and you go explore that, and it's actually nice to explore it. Um, in this game, I'm gonna be honest, I would never explore. Like it's highly uninteresting looking at the world. So I'd probably just do the quests, like try and find other Pokemon and go from there. I have complaints watching the game though. I've mentioned them to you. Number one, you can't swim. Dumb. It's a dumb idea. It's an open world game. You should be able to swim. This isn't 2006. You can swim in games now. I
mhm.
I feel like that shouldn't be said to anybody now in the gaming community, but there better be a really good reason why you can't swim in a game. I it's like still it's silly. Voice acting, where is it? Where'd it
Oh yeah,
go?
I forgot about that.
Nintendo,
What do you
where
mean
is my
where to
voice
go? It
acting?
was it was never there. You can't say
Where
where
is
to
it?
go. Just where is it?
Like where is it?
It's time. It's time, Nintendo. You've gotten away with it long enough.
It's time.
It's time to put voice acting in your games.
Yeah.
Like Mario and Zelda. I don't really care as much. There's not a lot of dialogue in those games, but Pokemon's a freaking RPG. You talk to a lot of people. There's a lot of dialogue. Give me some voice
Yeah, there
acting.
should
Give me a
be.
break.
Pokemon needs some. I'm tired of seeing of like watching Pokemon games, not hearing the audio when people are talking, and it's a lot of audio. Like there's a lot of things that they're talking about. Put it in there.
Yeah,
Put it in.
you have the money. You have the budget. You can pay some voice actors. Give me a break.
Pay 5 people to do it. Just 5. Do what Bethesda did with Oblivion and Skyrim. Do you know what Bethesda freaking does? They pay like 3 to 4 good voice actors to do certain roles, and then everybody else is done by 5 people. Basically, you hear the
Yeah,
same voices all over the place. Just do that. Who cares? Just do it that way. But Nintendo's like, nope, we don't need it. We don't have to spend the money on it because nobody's gonna care. And I hate it. Mario didn't need it though. Mario doesn't need it. Zelda, it'd be interesting if Zelda had more of it. I
I
actually
think
kind of liked it in
I
Breath of the
think
Wild.
it would be good.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they had more of it. Um, even just even if the voice acting isn't amazing, have some. Have some.
Like Pokemon is in full 3D now. We've gotten away from the isometric view of the past where it felt more acceptable because it was like a handheld game and just looked a little more old school. No, we're in full 3D now. We need voice acting. I'm kind of done
Yeah,
with
no,
no voice acting.
we need it. Um, certain games it doesn't matter. Like there are certain games where you're like, yeah, sure, you don't need voice acting in this. Like it's not a big deal. Pokemon, this is on the Switch, and it's an open
Yeah,
world game. It's like not on your handheld anymore. It's not on a DS.
yeah.
It's it's a
It's
fully 3D world. It's like
it
pretty expansive. Put some voice
it's
acting in.
it's 2022. Pretty much every single RPG that at least has a decent enough budget is basically fully voice acted.
Yeah,
You know, all of the cutscenes are gonna be voice acted
because it
basically. So
makes it gives life to the characters. Like
yep,
even freaking Fire Emblem started putting some voice acting in their games. Are you kidding me?
Three Houses was fully voice acted.
Yeah,
Like
it
every
was.
line of dialogue in that game, even some of like the random shit you talk to people in the monastery, that was voice acted.
And
Like
it's
that
great.
game had a crazy amount of voice acting.
And it's great. It
Makes the
really is.
world feel way more alive, and it's way easier to get engaged in the story when there's
Yeah.
voice acting, the story and the
It
characters.
it adds more to what the characters are saying for me at least. Like it adds more to it.
Like
Like the tone of how they're saying it, it adds more life to it.
we know Nintendo can do it because they did it for Fire Emblem, and Xenoblade has voice acting too. I know you weren't a huge fan of voice acting in that game, but it
They
had.
tried. I appreciate them trying. I appreciate them trying. I do appreciate them trying. It wasn't great,
But yeah,
but they tried.
it's time. It's time for voice acting in Pokemon. Like I'm kind of done with no voice acting in Pokemon.
Yeah. Even in games where it's like bad voice acting, I don't know why, but even bad voice acting can be funny. Mega Man X4, I'm looking directly eye to eye at you. Oh
Yeah,
my god, it's so good. It can be legendary. So, I
yeah.
the two sentences can be read completely differently when someone says it out loud, which
hmm
it can happen. You can two sentences can be completely different. They can be deciphered completely differently by tone, and that is what we need. So, Nintendo, sick and tired of you taking down YouTubers' content because they put a song of yours in it and not having you hire Matt Mercer to voice a character. Hire you have Chris Pratt playing Mario.
hmm
You can do better now.
Yep.
We can do better now. So yeah, sorry, derailed the rest of your thoughts for Pokemon.
No, I think I've given my thoughts.
Okay,
I think the game is fun. I think it's good. I think it's worth picking up. If you're especially if you're a Pokemon fan, or maybe you were a fan at one point and you kind of got tired of the same old thing. I think this game is good. I think it's worth picking up. And even though, it's a little rough around the edges, especially in the graphical department, and, they tried some things, they don't all work. But
they
I think
tried.
it's a really fun game. It's fun to explore the world and just like catch Pokemon. And, you know, I think it's cool. I think it's worth picking up. I actually would recommend this game to people in general. Yeah.
they tried things. I do appreciate them trying some things.
Yeah.
It seems like they did try some cool stuff. Not everything hits, but when you try and innovate, that may happen.
Yep.
So I appreciate them trying, is what I'll say. At some point, I'd like to play it, but once I get through all my other stuff, um, which
Yeah.
I'm carving through now, actually,
Yep.
I'll get there. Um, so you're currently recommending this game. That is your
Yep.
stance. Okay,
I
got it.
recommend it.
Okay.
I think it's
Um,
good.
let's talk about Total War.
Mm-hmm.
I played a little bit. I haven't played a ton more. I got some DLC today. So before the sale ended, I acquired DLC. Not all of
Mm-hmm.
it actually. I don't know why, but I was having some problems getting some of the DLC. Um, can I actually make a comment on Total War real quick? It's
There's a lot of
surprisingly
DLC.
it's also surprisingly difficult to get some of it loaded onto your game from Steam. Let me explain. Hold on. Before you go,
Oh yeah. Well,
before you go, you're an idiot, Otto, which I understand I am. The free content is hard to load. Here's how you do it. Let me explain it to you. When you go into you don't just do it from Steam, by the way. That doesn't work as well as the way I've figured out how to do it. You boot up the game. In the game, there's downloadable content. You click on the free stuff in the downloadable content. In the secondary Steam window that comes up, you click download. Then it triggers the thing to say, oh, you're going to want to download this. You exit out of that window, even though it doesn't confirm you're downloading it. Once you've exited out of the window, the game says, you need to restart this game to get this content. You restart the game. It then finally confirms that the download is acquired into the game. Then you reload the game and the downloaded content's there.
but then you have to do that again for the other 10 things
Exactly.
of free content they have on
Exactly.
there.
So
That's not the way I that's not the way I did it. The way I did it, I just did it through the Steam store. I had
yeah.
to do it for each piece of content
Yep.
individually. You had to like go into that piece of content, click download.
Yeah.
The Steam would do a little like, hey, syncing new content
Yeah.
thing, and then it would be done. But
Yeah.
it was still really
Annoying.
inefficient that you had to click on every single one and click
Yeah.
download on every
It
instead you can just like, "Hey, can I just have all of the free content now?" And you can just patch that all in and we're good. Okay, cool.
yeah,
Like,
why isn't it just in the game? Why do I have to patch it in? Why
yeah,
don't you just update it into the game already? Like why do I have to
I,
acquire it?
I don't know. Yeah, it's dumb. I agree.
It so yeah, I did try the way you did. It just for whatever reason it wasn't as effective. Um so Total Warhammer 3, if you do DLC, please do better. Please do better.
I'm sure
I,
it's gonna be the same. And
it
I don't
was
know if
so
it's a
frustrating.
I don't know if it's a issue on Creative Assembly's side or Sega, who's the publisher, or if it's a Steam thing. I really
I
don't
don't know.
know.
I
But
just I want it to be a little bit easier. How about if it's a free DLC, just put it in the game. Don't make me download it. Just put it in.
yeah.
I guess if somebody just doesn't want to download it, maybe for whatever reason, I guess that's why they're doing it, but maybe they could just turn off the DLC once they get into the game. Just turn or not play it. Maybe
Yeah,
they
it's
don't
like
want that DLC character in their game. I really don't know. I don't get it. Um
no, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't get it either. If it's free, if it's free DLC, why do I have to click a separate thing to download it? It should just be there. It should just be there. Like it's free DLC, just automatically install it. It's just part of the game.
I don't know.
Like,
Okay, now actually talking about the game. Um I did the Malekith thing, but when I got all the DLC, I kind of did the other campaign that I got downloaded on there.
oh,
Yeah,
the
thank
Mortal
you, Mortal
Empires.
Empires, and I decided to play one of the vampire women. There's like a vampire lady who has like a husband that you can also
Oh,
get.
the
Thank you,
Karsteins. Yeah,
Von
the
Karstein's. So I decided to play as the vampires. It was like, okay, this is interesting. I want to be a vampire.
yeah, they're one
Um,
of the they're a Warhammer 1 race, but
yeah,
yeah.
it's cool. I like it. Um, I haven't gotten too far, but like what I've played so far, I've enjoyed. Um, I'm still learning how to play. Like, there's still certain things that I'm trying to figure out. Um, I'm like getting used to like, okay, do I like expand quickly or do I like hunker down for a little bit and like build up and then go out and expand? Like, I've been going where like, okay, I see settlements that are like right next to me that are either available or maybe have like only one faction. Like, that's the faction's only place, so I like go get it.
Yeah.
Um, right away, but oh,
No, we had a Spectrum.
Oh yeah, Spectrum. Okay. Um. So like, right in my run that I'm in right now, like I've already conquered 2 other settlements. Um. But like I'm also low on income now because my armies are getting bigger. So like I'm
Yeah.
trying to balance out. Like okay, maybe I should stop going after settlements and improve my income and try and get order into the ones I just conquered. Um. Like dealing with other like getting technology boosted up. Um, it's a process trying to figure it out, but I'll say that there's some cool stuff. I like the actual battles. Playing the battles can be
Yeah.
pretty fun, particularly when you're just decisively killing somebody. It's pretty
Hmm.
funny. Like the vampires just bringing in their bats on the flanks and having the
Yep.
little Skaven rats just like start to encircle themselves because they
Mm.
know that they're just going to get completely surrounded instantaneously. And
Yep.
then 60 seconds into battle, you just see decisive victory because you
Yeah.
encircled them minute 1 of the
They all
battle.
they all flee. You
The-
you broke you
It's
you broke
it's
them.
it's cool. It's like cool to do all that.
Yeah. And
Oh,
most of the time in this game, you don't win battles by killing all of the
no, you
enemies. You
don't.
break their morale and they all flee,
Yeah, just flee.
basically.
Just flee. The Skaven, like, obviously, like they're kind of the race that seems like they're like it's like early on when you're playing like certain campaigns, like you see Skaven and like they're easy to bully because I would guess their units are really weak. So maybe they're like one of those like Zergling type races where you have to like completely outnumber your opponent. But like every time I fight the Skaven, even when the quote unquote numbers are the same, I just freaking rout them. And I think it's because is that am I thinking that's right? I know nothing about this, so like I'm figuring it out. But
Yeah, I don't. Skaven are. I mean, I don't know that much either, to be honest. But Skaven to me are they're the Zerg,
yeah,
so there's gonna be more. There's gonna be more of them. So if they're not outnumbering you by a lot, you're probably gonna run them
yeah.
over. I think their individual units are very weak.
Yeah, I kind of want to play as a Skaven one time just to see, but yeah.
I've seen like some tier lists. Apparently, some of the Skaven factions at least are actually really strong. At least if you
Oh
know
yeah.
how to play them.
I
So,
I haven't
um,
dived into any of that. I'm just trying to learn how to play. That's literally where I'm at right now is I'm learning how to play, but it's cool. The game is cool. Um there's a lot to it. So far I like it. Um I want to play more of it just to try it. All the races are just like this I do like the Skaven, the little rats. I do like them. They're funny.
so in Warhammer 3, there is a one of the new races is like it's a human race, but
Okay.
they're called Kislev, but it's basically Russia, like it's just the northern
Yes.
territory humans. They have bears. They ride bears. Like
When's that game coming out again? When's that game coming out?
2 weeks from today, February 17th.
Pre-ordered? Are you gonna play any other faction auto? No. Not really. Bears. Damn,
Bears
bears. Bears sounds good. There's some cool.
war bears.
Yeah, the vampires are just. I just like them because you just get like bats and stuff, and they just
Yeah.
like the bats just fly around. I had like the Skaven try and like arrow down the bats with their crossbowmen or archers or whatever they
Mhm.
are. I think they're crossbows in this one, but I just then flew the bats away, and they're like, oh, we're just screwed, and then you bring them back in.
Then you come back, yeah.
It's just like
Yeah, with
super
like
fun.
I mean, I guess the bats aren't necessarily like
You just harass. They're just a harassment unit. You just like
yeah,
bring them around.
the
Mutalisks.
with the high speed units, which are like the cavalry and the flying units, generally that's the best strategy because they get a lot of in the stats, they have this stat at the bottom. It's called charge bonus. Like when you charge an enemy, you do that extra damage
Yeah.
when you charge them. And generally, like cavalry are best when they're charging
Yeah, of
things,
course.
and I assume flying units are the same. So the best strategy with those is hit and run. You go in, you charge, you do that extra damage. I think it's for like 10 or 15 seconds or something, and then you retreat and you do it again.
Yeah, I
So
when I did it, I just like basically won after doing that. The
yeah,
bats just to the Skaven just went just sandwiched
yeah,
them with the front line just coming in and boxing them in. It's cool. I want to play as a Skaven though because I want to see like okay, are the Skaven actually the Zerg, where you have like huge numbers, but individually
Yeah.
they're super weak. But when you get like normally, like let's say your full army is like 1,500 units, just for example, it's probably like 2,000, but let's just say that for example, the Skaven maybe are like 5,000, and that's how they win. Is like, oh no, we have like 5,000 units. That's how we're gonna win. We just need like 5,000 units to take down your 2,000. We got to
Yeah.
beat you 2.5 to 1 or something. It seems like it's that way, but they're
Yeah.
funny. And apparently, like, I don't know if when you play as them they get this, but sometimes when I go like look in settlements, they're like the Skaven are hiding in the settlement, so like they get to hide in the settlement because they're underground or something. I don't know, that's
Yeah,
cool too.
they're yeah, their settlements are like under the city generally, so yeah,
Yeah,
when they're I think that's how they work generally.
yeah,
I haven't played as them either.
because you never I obviously I've seen them like as factions on the world map, but sometimes I'll go into a city and there's Skaven infesting the place, and then all of a sudden there's like a Skaven faction that pops up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, cool, they're just there. Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Like it's a race that like hides because they're underground, so they hide,
Yeah. I mean, they're
and
rats.
you can't tell
They're
they're
literally
there.
rats.
And there
Yeah.
are corruption too. Like there's Skaven
Yeah.
corruption, so like you just get rats in your city. Like what a crazy thing. There's rats, there's the Skaven corruption, the vampiric corruption. There's like two
Chaos
other
corruption.
chaos corruption.
Chaos corruption.
Yeah, it's cool. I actually like the idea of like, oh, are you letting the Skaven overrun your city? Okay, well here they come. They're uprising into your city. It's a cool idea. There's some cool ideas that I like. Um, I'm interested to play more of it. It's a cool game that I'm glad that I picked up a while ago, and I'm glad that you played it to get me to play it. It's fun.
Yeah.
That's my thought. It's just like it's a fun game. Can be complicated, but
Yeah.
once you start figuring things out, it's cool.
There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of different factions that like okay, generally they all play the same because
Sure.
there's units and there's buildings and you like build buildings which allows you to get more income or build certain units and then there's like a tech tree though every faction's tech tree is like slightly different in some way. Um and and then usually every faction has like some sort of faction mechanic. Um just depends on who you're playing. Like
Yeah.
the high elves who I'm playing right now in Warhammer 2 for example have they have this separate resource called influence which you can use to like basically increase or decrease like your or other factions diplomatic relations with other factions.
Okay. I like
um
that.
and,
Yep.
and sometimes you spend it to so you have to spend it to hire certain like
Sure.
hero units and stuff like that
Yeah.
too.
Sure.
um and you also get like pop-up events that are related to like what they call the Phoenix Court, which I guess is like their council or
Yeah. Sure.
something like that. So you get pop-ups and so stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, every faction has some sort of faction mechanic that you
Yeah.
have to deal with basically. That makes every faction a little bit unique.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it's cool. It's cool. I like the Phoenix Court. Like, hey, Phoenix
yeah,
Court's in session. Whatever.
yeah,
The vampires just like, yeah, we just run around and like corrupt stuff. I guess we're just
mhm,
corrupting the land. And if you go outside your corruption, you get hurt. Your
yeah,
units actually take damage. So
yeah,
you're like, oh
attrition.
shit, I better hurry and take over the settlement. Otherwise, I'm going to get attrition damage because I'm a vampire not in a corrupted area. It's like a nice idea. It's like the creep for the
Yeah,
Zerg.
for
It's a
Zerg.
cool
Yeah.
idea. This game has cool ideas. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, attrition's a thing for every faction. If you're fighting in a terrain that is like either has corruption or if you're a non-corrupt race, or if you're fighting in a terrain that is just like unsuitable for
Yeah.
your faction, you take attrition when
Yeah,
you
because
move
I've
through
seen
it.
cities
So
with like suitable
yeah,
to be settled, whatever it's called. Um,
yeah, there's that too. So
yeah,
if the city is in an unsuitable climate, you take penalties to like public order and growth
yeah,
and the construction cost of buildings and
sure.
stuff like that. So
Yeah, I've noticed that. Just the suitable
yeah.
part. I've noticed
the
that,
the
so I
most
assume.
as far as the beginning of the game goes, the most important part of the beginning of the game is to control the first province that you start in. Basically, usually you start with one settlement, and the thing you should focus on at the beginning is to control the other, usually two other settlements that are part of that province,
Yeah.
and to control that province.
Yeah.
Because once you control an entire province, you can put a commandment on the province, which just gives you a buff
Yep.
to the province. The other thing about having the provinces is like, so you've noticed, I assume, in the buildings, every building can go up to, well, not every building, but buildings go from level 1 to level 5.
Yep.
Only the province capital can go past level 3.
Yep. Okay.
So basically, any building that goes only up to level 3, you want to put in the subsidiary um,
You won't put in the other ones.
settlements,
Yeah, because I mean, like they can
because
only get
so
there.
like, yeah, because they can't, any building that has level 4 or level 5, those the smaller settlements can't build those buildings because those can only go up to level 3 on the main building.
Yeah, sure.
Um, so that's just like a general strategy thing. Growth is really important resource source early on, just to grow your settlement so you can increase the main settlement, basically
Yeah.
increase it to the level 3, level 4, level 5. Um, so yeah, but like expanding is important because that's how you get more land and get more income from that. And also you make a lot of money in this game just from like winning battles, right? It's like when you win a battle, you make
Yeah, you
money
make your
from that.
currency, whatever that
Yeah.
is. Your currency's different.
Most factions it's gold or whatever.
Yeah.
I assume it's gold. I know with the I haven't played the vampires, but I've seen someone play them. They have that, like, I don't know what it is, like souls or something like that. I don't quite
I just think it's
understand what
souls.
it
Just
is.
say it's souls for now. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is actually. It's like it looks like souls though. So you like harvest souls to make your buildings
And your units.
and your units and all that. Yeah, it shouldn't all be the same currency. I think like some factions may have a different currency. It makes sense. So I appreciate that it's just not all the same because I don't think it should
I
be.
I think for the vast majority it's the gold,
Yeah,
basically.
like dwarves should be gold, right? Like dwarves should be gold. The human races probably should just be gold.
It's gold. Yeah.
Um, like the elves, sure,
Yeah.
gold is
Still
fine.
gold.
But like,
Yeah.
there's some
Yeah.
races where it's like there's like a chaos based race. Is that really going to be gold? Maybe it should be something different. Like the vampires being something different from gold is actually interesting for me. It acts like gold, but it's not. So it's kind of
It's
nice.
basically the
It's
same, but
basically the same, but it's like, but it's not. So it's called
it's
something
just a
different. So
it's a flavor thing.
it adds uniqueness. Yeah, it's nice for me at least. Um, so I appreciate that. That's what I was gonna say. I appreciate that. The vampires also have like this blood kiss ability that I haven't used yet. Um, I think it's like if you take down certain units in battle, like a hero unit or something like that. There's like an assassination thing you can do. You can use this like blood kiss ability. I there's like all this stuff that I'm like reading on the toolbars. I'm like, oh, what the hell is a blood kiss? Does that mean you convert a hero to your side? You make him a vampire? That'd be
That's
cool.
what it sounds like.
That'd be cool. So that's also something that I'm like looking forward to is figuring all that stuff out. But yeah, game's cool. I want to play more of it. I also want to play as Skaven, the little rats. I want to
Mhm.
I want to be the faction that is hiding in the city, and all of a sudden the Beastmasters walk in and they're like, looks like an open city for me, and then the rats just devour him and bring him down. Like, nope,
Yep.
thank you.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of cool factions like the frickin' there's the lizard men.
Yeah. Oh my God, lizardmen look cool.
They have frickin' their high tier units. There's just like
It's
dinos.
a
They're just like
dinosaur. I've
not
seen it on
like
the map too.
not
I'm
like
like,
Stegosaurus frickin'
yeah,
artillery units and like
I
T-Rex units. Like,
I
okay,
saw on the world map a giant T Rex on the
yep,
map that was the lizard people.
lizardmen.
I was like, damn, you got a
And the
freaking T Rex.
like the high elves, for example, some of their high tier units, they can get like eagles and phoenixes and they have a building, they have dragons, like
Oh
they
my
can build
God,
freaking dragons in the late game.
it's it's just so
So
sweet. You're just like, oh, When I saw the T-Rex, I was like, oh my god, there's a T-Rex. What? Wow, they just get a T-Rex. What are you supposed to do about that? You're just like the dwarves, and you're just like, yeah, we're gonna stay on the front line, and a T-Rex just enters the map. Like, this was fun. We're gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm sure the dwarves get like these like other like underground based like animal units or something. I'm sure there's like some and like monster of the deep that the dwarves use or something.
The dwarves, the dwarves are they're the faction I played in Warhammer 1 for my campaign. I don't The dwarves have very little variety in on their units. Most of their units are just they just have a lot of infantry, heavily armored infantry.
Yeah,
They
which
have no
nope.
Spectrum is killing me right now.
It's
Um,
powerful. It's powerful.
it's bad. Um, they have no cavalry. They have these little they have like little helicopters. They're called gyrocopters.
Yeah,
So
makes
you
sense.
have those, and then they have some they have a bunch of like artillery. They have this thing called the organ gun, which is like this four-barreled cannon
Oh my
that's pretty
god.
freaking cool.
Okay.
Um,
So dwarves get other cool like tech-based
but
weapons like
I
that
don't
are
particularly like the dwarves. They just feel like they don't do anything special. They're just like really heavily armored. They're kind of good in the early game, but in the late game, when the enemy has like they don't deal with monsters like large units very well, and enemies that have like armor piercing because they have a lot of armored unit. They have like no non-armored units basically.
yeah.
So um, yeah, they're okay, but I don't love them at least from my experience with them in Warhammer One.
Okay.
Though moly, they added okay. So you know the basic thing that is in like
Oh my god. Somebody really doesn't like you at
yeah
Spectrum. Somebody just doesn't
yeah
like you at Spectrum.
this hasn't happened in a while, so you
Yeah,
know.
it's been a minute.
Um, but yeah, there's that thing where you get notifications that are like, "Hey, you have a hero to move, or you have something to build in a settlement, or you have this and that." Yeah, that doesn't exist in Warhammer One.
Oh my god.
Only the end turn button is there, and you have to like scroll through your forces and your buildings to make
That's
sure you did everything that you needed to do.
yeah, it's nice to have like the like notification be there.
Yeah.
It's really nice. So good thing they added
Also,
that.
you know how armies in Warhammer 2 have zone of control, so if you like get within somebody's range, I think like they can't move as far or like it's hard to get away
Yeah,
from
sure.
people.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
that doesn't exist in Warhammer 1 either.
Oh
I
no.
literally in Warhammer 1 at the beginning of the campaign, I literally had an army like ring around the rosy me for like 20 fucking turns and I was trying to kill them. It was so annoying. I was like,
That's kind of funny thinking about it. It's like, damn it, get back here. Get back here.
yeah,
Just like run, 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 run. Oh my god, that's so funny. Just like
it
picturing
was
you
awful.
getting upset at your computer and just being like, "You son of a bitch, get back here! I want to kill you." And the Skaven just running like, "No, don't kill us."
Yeah, Skaven didn't exist in Warhammer 1,
Oh no,
so
they didn't. That's a tragedy. Oh man, that's tragic. That sucks. I'm so glad that they're in Warhammer 2 though. They're great. They look great. They're funny. They're funny when you talk to them in diplomacy. Oh my god. Anyway,
you can do diplomacy with the Skaven.
you can. It's great. It's
Yeah.
amazing when you do diplomacy with them. I um I'm very excited whenever they do diplomacy with me and they're like, please join us in a defensive pact or something like that. And I'm like, of course I will help you, you small rats. Of course I'll help you. But yeah, in certain campaigns they're like, the one that I was playing with Malekith, the Skaven were around me, so they're like, you should kill these rats. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay. But they're sad. And I keep
Yep.
freaking absolutely demolishing them in war because I'm on an easy difficulty right now. So it's just I felt sad for them.
Yep.
But the game's fun. I like it.
Yep.
Um,
It's a very good merge between the like I don't call it 4X, but like they have some base building and like settlement building and population management and that kind of stuff, like in 4X games. And then there, which is the campaign map, and then you have the RTS battles.
Yeah, it's like
So
there's like a blend of Crusader Kings in there. There's a blend
yeah,
of 4X in there, and then with the big battle, there's those big battle scenario situations. It's a nice, like, somebody put all that in a blender, and the Total War series got spit out, and it's cool.
yeah.
It's definitely fun and
Series
different.
series has existed for a long time,
Yeah.
also.
So they're
I think the Warhammer, at least from what I've heard, the stuff that I've watched, there's probably different opinions. Warhammer 2, at least so far, is the best of them. Basically, the best
oh,
Total War game.
interesting.
So
Okay. Yeah, because there's a lot of them. So
there's
that's
a lot of them.
yeah, there's a ton. But yeah, Total War 2 is fun. I enjoy it. So Total War 3, it's on the horizon.
Yep.
If all the stuff carries over, like from Warhammer, like it did from Warhammer 2, that's really awesome. As long as there's some
I
improved
yeah.
graphics and
I
things
don't
like
I
that.
don't think there's going to be the combined campaign isn't gonna be out at launch. I'm sure they will have it at some point, but it's not gonna be there at launch. You
Sure.
can only play the whatever the Warhammer 3
Yeah.
campaign is, because the in Warhammer 2, the main campaign for Warhammer 2 is the Vortex campaign,
Yep.
and then Mortal Empires was the DLC, which combined the two, and kind of, it's a little more open ended. There's not the, you know, the Vortex is the objective of the Vortex campaign, with those like rituals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know how far you got in it, but like um yeah, in Mortal Empires, it's like there's an objectives menu, but each faction has their own particular objectives.
Right.
Usually it's to conquer a certain set of settlements and defeat a couple of different factions,
Yeah.
probably, to wipe out. Like with the dwarves, I had to kill all the greenskins, and
Oh, basically the orcs,
yeah,
goblins,
the
whatever
the
they are.
orc and goblin faction, basically. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
called the greenskins.
Yeah, of
And
course. Dwarves
in
have to be
this,
the ones to take them out. They're fighting for the land, right? Makes
and
sense.
and then I had to basically control all the dwarven territory. I had to basically confederate, either kill or confederate all the other dwarven factions.
Okay. You gotta be the supreme dwarven leader. Makes sense. You gotta be the high king of the dwarves.
Yep, the High
So
King of the Dwarves. So
um
I think most of the Mortal Empires campaigns have similar objectives to
hmm.
something like that. Like,
Yeah, that makes sense. Um anyway. Let's start closing down because I gotta do some other stuff here.
okie
Um
dokie.
but yeah, we'll more Total War, we'll continue the discussion for sure. Let me play a bit more. I'm enjoying it though. I think it's fun. Um
Yep.
Anyway, let's conclude here. For anybody that's still watching in the Twitch stream or the VOD, thanks for watching, and be sure to check out all of our stuff on YouTube. Video will go up sometime this weekend or early next week, and possibility of some content happening this weekend from the Twitch channel. So thanks for everyone stopping by. Spoon, as always, thank you,
Hmm.
and hopefully Spectrum won't destroy you next week.
We shall see.
It bodied
Never
you
know.
today. Um,
Just at the end.
yeah, but yep. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you sometime either this weekend or next week.
Hmm. Night, everybody.
Night.